Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic peeps, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but plenty of stuff in between. Like, yeah, books! And today, yeah, it's another book-themed video. Today, I love doing these videos. It's my TBR for February, so stay right where you are. Buckle in because it might be a longer TBR video because I got a shitload of books on my TBR. And when we come back after this short intro, we will go through all of those books. Welcome back, guys. Okay, first and most important, I guess, to me, is a book I'm super jazzed, excited, pumped, freaking, I don't know, ecstatic about. All of the positive words, you can apply it to how I feel about reading this book in February. And that is Swan Song by Robert McCammon. If you guys are new here, you might not know. But if you aren't new here, then you do know that Robert McCammon is my favorite author. And yeah, Swan Song is a chunky book. However, I'm very excited to read this. And not only am I reading it, I am asking you guys to join along with me because it is the official book club pick for my book club, the Midnight Book Society. Of course, my book club is named after Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's an ode to one of my favorite old school shows that I watched growing up. And we've been going strong for over a year now. And for the month of February, for Swan Song, I've got a co-host, and that will be Amy from Amy Noel Reads. She will be hosting the live stream with me, and the live stream discussion of this book will take place after February is over in about the second week of March. So stay tuned. I will release the date very soon. Also, if you want to talk about this book as you go along, I do have a Discord which will be linked below. So join us on Discord and we will be talking about it. And there are ways to hide spoilers, so have no fear. I am going to use audio along with this physical copy to try to get through this big chunker, but even though it's long, I'm very excited. This is kind of like a post-apocalyptic story, and I've heard it's just marvelous. I don't want to know too many details going in. I just want to enjoy it and have a wonderful time. Next up, a book that I am reading for two different book clubs. It is the pick for my own personal book club that I run privately with my friend Kat, as well as the Patreon book club pick for my friend Ali over at the channel Criminali. Check out his Patreon if you guys are interested, because any Patreon members can discuss this on Ali's Discord in a little private Patreon little area. And so that book is Cabin at the End of the World. And I'm really excited that both of these book clubs wanted to read this because it worked out for me that I'm killing two birds with one stone. This is being made into a movie, and the movie stars Dave Bautista. Doesn't have the same name, which I find kind of odd and weird. Also find it a little weird that none of the movie posters or anything mentioned that it's an adaptation from Paul Tremblay's book. So I find that kind of puzzling. But anyway, that doesn't make me any less excited to read the book itself. I can't wait to see what it's all about, and I definitely want to read it before seeing the movie. And so I'm so glad that both Criminali's book club and my own personal book club want to read this book, and it'll be so much fun. And the next book is for another book club, and I just love participating in clubs when I can. Sometimes I can't, but I try to participate in a lot of clubs every now and then. And this read is for Amy's book club. Of course, I just mentioned her earlier. She's at Amy Noel Reads, so check out her channel. And her book for February is episode 13. This has been making the rounds, not only on BookTube, but also on Bookstagram. And lots of people are praising this. Lots of people are saying it's wonderful. My friend Amber talked about this. She said she thinks I would like it. I know a lot of people. I think my friend Sarah is liking this book. She was in the middle of reading it last time I checked. And again, this is Amy's February book club pick, and I'm actually the co-host for her live shows. So we're both co-hosting each other's live shows for the month of February, but both of our live shows will be taking place after February is over in March.
Serita Black is the newest hit ghost hunting reality TV show, led by husband and wife team Matt and Claire Kirkland. It features a dedicated crew of ghost hunting experts. Episode 13 takes them to every ghost hunter's holy grail, the Paranormal Research Foundation. This crumbling, derelict mansion holds secrets and clues about bizarre experiments that took place there in the 70s. It also undoubtedly haunted, and Matt hopes to use scientific techniques and high-tech gear to prove it. But as the house begins to slowly reveal itself to the crew, proof of an afterlife might not be everything Matt dreamed of.
This is gonna be fun. Next up, a buddy read that I'm doing with some friends of mine, including Katrina over at the channel Katrina Brown, Kelly over at the channel Kelly Hooked on Books, and our friend Katie, who's a really awesome BookTube supporter. She's amazing. And we are all going to be buddy reading The Other by Thomas Tryon. And this will be the third book I've read by Thomas Tryon, and I have enjoyed every book I've read of his. So the two others I've read would be Harvest Home, which was a 5-star read for me, and Night of the Moonbow, which I believe was either a 4 or a 4.5-star read. Both very, very enjoyable. I think Tryon really excels at character development, so I'm excited for The Other because it's one of the pillars of old school horror fiction books. And so, let's go. I'm ready. This buddy read will be a freaking blast. And of course, by the way, all the channels I will mention will be linked below. Next up, another book club read, and this one is the official book club pick for my friend Kelly's club, the From Hell Book Club, and this is Specter by Stephen Laws. And Ollie, over at the channel Criminale, once again, I already mentioned him once, but he is the one who picked out the club read for the month of February, so it's his brainchild. He is the reason why we are reading Specter by Stephen Laws for February, and I'm super pumped. But not only am I reading it for Kelly's book club, but my friend Alex over at the channel The Bookibus, she also suggested this to me, and so it is one of my official 12 Friends Recommend books for 2023. So Alex recommended it, Ollie picked it out, and it's for my friend Kelly's book club. So it's kind of serving multiple purposes, but I think that is even better. That means that I'm reading it for a whole bunch of great reasons, and it's going to be a great time, I think. So let's go. Next up, Kelly also has an indie themed book club, and I'm really intrigued to try to participate in some of her indie picks throughout the year. But also, I'm kind of torn with reading her pick for February, which is an Ivy Tholen book, a backlist book of Ivy Tholen's. Ivy Tholen is the author of Tastes Like Candy, and that is my favorite slasher book that I've read. I love that book so much, and it's got a great cover, by the way. I always praise that slasher book. It's just fun, a great time, really wonderful characters. So I'm either going to read Kelly's club pick, which again, it is a old school Ivy Tholen book, or I'm going to read the new Ivy Tholen book because Ivy Tholen herself actually sent me an e-copy and is going to be sending me a physical copy of the book, and the artwork is incredible and is out of this world. You guys got to check this book out. So I'm either going to read the brand new book or going to read Kelly's book club pick. Both books are by Ivy Tholen, and essentially, I don't care which I read, I just want to read an Ivy Tholen. And so here, on my actual official TBR list, I just put one Ivy Tholen book. So it'll be one or the other, but either way, it's an Ivy Tholen book, and I'm excited. Next up, another book that a friend recommended to me from my little 12 Friends Recommend Me Books project for 2023. This is where we talk things out. And this was recommended to me by my friend Katrina over at the channel Katrina Brown, who, yeah, I'm doing a buddy read with. So you're hearing a lot of the same channel names, but these are some of my favorite peeps of all time. I trust their opinions. I'm really excited to do projects with them. I'm excited to get recommendations from them, etc., etc. So this is a nice little quick winter read, and I'm super intrigued to see how everything plays out. The essential, very loose premise: we've got a mother and daughter who meet at this cabin to, quote, talk things out. But I think things get a little crazy, and I think shit hits the fan. So we will see, what transpires. Next up, I'm actually participating in a couple of readathons in February. If my February TBR wasn't already stacked, these readathons are like, yo bitch, you need more to read! So I'm like, oh damn. So one of the readathons I'm participating in is Ollie's readathon, who I've already mentioned a few times in this video. Again, Ollie is marvelous. He is a great booktuber. I also support him on Patreon because I think he has a wonderful channel, and I do think he's very deserving of support. And he's just fabulous, a really great person all around. And last year he created an event called GarbAugust, where the whole point was to read and revel in awesome trashy reads, that is, not like literal trash that, you know, you go dumpster diving. It's more of a fiction themed dumpster dive type of deal where we partake in reading just really, really outrageous, zany, fun, trashy garbage reads. And I'm very pumped because Ollie is doing a mini GarbAugust 1.5 event for February, and it's taking place on the first weekend of February, and it's going to be called the Wasted Weekend. So I am, of course, participating in that, and I've got 2 trashy books picked out for the Wasted Weekend event. The Cats, and yeah, this is going to be a wild, zany animal attack story. There is an audiobook on Amazon, and it is super, super short. So that is one reason why I picked this out. And this book is on my 23 books to read in 2023, my Paperbacks from Hell version of that list. And the other book I'm hoping to get to for the Wasted Weekend is Wait and See by Ruby Jean Jensen. I've heard relatively good things about this Ruby Jean Jensen book, and I've already read a few books by Ruby Jean Jensen. This one is actually shorter than most of her other books that I've read. I don't want to know too much about it going into it. It is a vintage book, and it is available on Kindle, and that's how I'm going to be reading it. Next up, a brand new release that was just released in January this month. That is Hellbent by Lee Berdugo. In January, I did reread the first book in the series, which is called Ninth House, and I love Ninth House. The first time I read it a couple of years ago, it was a 5-star. When I reread it this month, it was still a 5-star because it's fabulous. It's really creative. It's got some magical occult elements, which I really, really jive with and enjoy when that pops up in horror fiction. And this also has some fantasy elements to it and some magical realism elements to it. It's just a fantastic world that these stories are based in. And this is the new book in the series. I put it on my January TBR, but I did not get to it. I actually have the audiobook on hold, so I'm moving this from January to February, and this will probably be towards the end of the month that I try to tackle this. Again, I'm gonna wait until the hold comes in, so it'll depend on that, but I'm hoping I get to this in February, but if not, I'll just try to pencil it in for later in the year. But yeah, very, very excited to get to this next installation in the Alex Stern series. So I mentioned Ollie's Patreon earlier. I too also have a Patreon. I don't like talking about it much because it makes me feel awkward. I hate talking about it and like telling people about it. I don't want people to think I'm trying to like beg for them to join or anything, but if you do want to support me, it is a great way to go the extra mile and support me. But even just you guys watching right now is another free way to support me, so thank you so much for even taking the time to view this video. And if you want to go a step further, another free way is to comment and like the video, and that also helps support me. But yeah, if you're interested, Patreon, some of my bonuses that I provide there, I do sprints just for Patreon, I do a movie night on my Discord just for Patreon members. Also, I ask my Patreon members for a lot of feedback for my channel, and they get to decide things that other people don't get to decide for my channel, including they get to decide random things like I put up a poll for February saying, what book do you want me to put on my TBR? And I said, do you want me to put We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III or Come Closer by Sarah Gran? And the book that slightly won from that Patreon poll as of the time I'm filming this right now is Come Closer by Sarah Gran. This is also on my 23 newer horror books to read in 2023. I do have 2 23 books to read in 2023 lists. One is Paperbacks from Hell, the other is newer horror books, and I'll link both videos below in case you missed them. I'm very, very pleased with both of my lists of 23 books, and that's a total of 46 books. It's a lot, but I know I can do it, or at least I think and hope I can do it. Anyway, my Patreon members picked this for me for my month of February. I will eventually get to We Need to Do Something, but for now, because the Patreons picked this is going on my February TBR. So thank you, Patreon members, who I call my Kelsi Corns. Thank you, Kelsi Corns! Alright, another readathon I'm participating in, and it lasts a whole weekend. Actually, it's a little bit more than just a weekend, and that will be 72 hours in a haunted house. Some co-hosts that I personally know who are involved are Kaylee from Kaylee's Books, who I adore. She is the sweetest person ever, and she's got the greatest dog named Teddy. And also Lexi from Books with Lexi. I love Lexi. She's so much fun, one of my favorite people of all time. Super creative. She also has a Patreon, so check it out. if you're interested, because she does a lot of sprints. But yeah, they're both involved in the 72 Hours in a Haunted House. Essentially, you pick a wheel to spin, horror or thriller. I'm gonna pick a horror wheel to spin, and you try to match a book to whatever the wheel picks or lands on, and it's just a big readathon where you read as much as you can and you keep spinning the wheel. And so I'm going to participate. I don't have anything picked out because I'm just going to see what the wheel kind of lands on, and I will pick books that are already maybe named on my TBR, or maybe short books, and I will pick it accordingly. And last but not least, the very last event I'm participating in, and this is a month-long readathon, unlike the other readathons I'm participating in. This is Folklore February, run by one of the greatest people on earth, my great friend Kat, who I love very dearly. If you guys are not familiar with Kat, please, please, please check out her channel. She has a newer YouTube channel, but she is fantastic, and she is super underrated, and she's a super lovely, amazing person. So please, please, please subscribe to her. I can't ask you more kindly, but I really think you'd enjoy her content if you enjoy my content, because she's one of my best friends and she likes a lot of the same things as me. And she is hosting a readathon that is all about folk tales, fables, and fairy tales. And so her readathon is officially called Folklore February. How cute is that? I'm so proud of her for making this readathon, because it's her very first readathon she's ever hosting, and she's doing it by herself, and she's doing a great job so far. So I have a couple of books that I got from the library. She does have prompts, but I'm just going to show you my library books and not really go over the prompts with you if you do want to learn more about her event, because it's a very easy event to participate in, because a lot of picture books would count and fulfill some of her prompts. And so you could read a lot of short things that would check off prompts and complete prompts, and it wouldn't add a lot of pages to your overall TBR for February. So one of Kat's prompts for the readathon is to just read a fairy tale, and for that I checked out The Wizard of Oz, because believe it or not, even though The Wizard of Oz movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, I have never read The Wizard of Oz, and this is one of the longer books that I picked out for the Folklore February TBR that I've got in mind. Everything else, almost everything else, is a picture book, but this is a little bit longer, but the font is big, so I'm not too worried about it. Next up, this book is the only book on my Folklore February TBR that I think I might not get to, but I wanted to check it out because it did look really, really intriguing, and this seems more like a reference to other fairy tales, or even maybe it could be considered a fairy tale retelling, and there is a prompt Kat has about a retelling, and it's like watch or read a fairy tale retelling. I might actually watch Beauty and the Beast, which would be like my 400th time watching that, and of course I'm talking about the animated version, which is the version that I freaking love, and that I think is the greatest animated movie of all time. I could go on and on about it. Don't get me started, because I will go on, and you guys will be like, shut up, Kelsi! We've already heard you talk about Beauty and the Beast and how it's better than every other Disney animated movie, including Frozen. I'm not gonna get in a fight with you guys. If you like Frozen more, that's perfectly okay. But I'm here to tell you I like Beauty and the Beast more, and I think it's the better movie. And I think it's the movie that will stand the test of time for all time. So anyway, enough. I gotta stop. Anyway, so I might watch that for the prompt about watching a retelling, but for reading, I picked this out just in case I can get to it. A Tale Dark and Grim. And Grimm is spelled with 2 M's, like the Brothers Grimm. So these two kids, Hansel and Gretel, they run away from their own story, and they run into 8 other scary fairy tales. They encounter witches, warlocks, hunters, and deadly bakers with ovens that are just right for baking children. It may be frightening, but unlike those other fairy tales, this one is true. So this sounds like a good time. I'm intrigued, and hopefully I can actually get to it. So another one of Kat's prompts has to do with reading a fractured fairy tale. Both of these little cute picture books are fractured fairy tales, and I remember these freaking covers from when I was a kid. Now, do I remember the stories? No. Essentially what a fractured fairy tale is, it's essentially like the idea of a fairy tale, but all mixed up and, you know, creatively kind of altered. I don't know what other word to use. It's just a little bit different, and a lot of times they're humorous. So this one is the true story of the 3 little pigs, and this book is told from the wolf's perspective versus the 3 little pigs' perspectives. And this one is called The Frog Prince Continued, and it's essentially what happens after the princess kisses the frog. Do they live happily ever after? According to this story, not quite. Next one of Kat's prompts says to read a story by Hans Christian Andersen, and here I've got The Princess and the Pea. Again, another picture book, and it's super, super short, and I'm excited about how short it is, and also excited because, yeah, I like old school fairy tales. Here we have another retelling, and this is one that is Cajun themed, and if you guys didn't know, I am from Louisiana, and technically, I am Cajun French. So my mom's parents, my mama and papa, they were Cajun French. They grew up in an area of Louisiana called Vacherie, and they actually spoke Cajun French before they even learned English, and they learned English in school. But at home, when they were very, very young, they spoke Cajun French. And when I would visit them, and I would visit them very often growing up, sometimes they would speak Cajun French to each other when they didn't want my cousins and I to hear what they were saying. So yes, I am officially Cajun French. And I picked out Petite Rouge because it's a Cajun Red Riding Hood story. So I'm really excited because, yeah, Cajun stuff, I'm like, yes, baby, that's me, Cher. So Cher is like a little pet name, like a little, like, fun little nickname for people. Like, how you doing, baby? How you doing, Cher? I don't know how you spell it, but my mom's, like, aunts and uncles say that and stuff. Like, when we've gone to family reunions, they're like, oh, Kelsi, oh, Cher, you look so grown up now. You look so small. But you're grown up at the same time. Anyway, that's them. And the last book I got from the library is Little Red Riding Hood. And this is for Kat's prompt that says to read a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. And this is a Brothers Grimm story. But the reason I was drawn to this one, there was multiple versions of Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, I showed you the Cajun one. But this one, the freaking artwork in this little picture book is incredible. Like, look at this. Look at the cutout pages. See how, like, the wolf is behind, like, this forest, and then you turn the page and then you could see the wolf? And let me show you, there's even more pages like this that are just so beautiful. Alright, so, like, look here. We see this crazy design, and then when you flip the page, you reveal that it is the wolf in the bed instead of the grandma. Anyway, I'm so excited because the pictures, like, I wouldn't even call them illustrations because it's like cutout artwork. The pictures, the artwork, whatever you want to call it, is fantastic. So here you could see the window, and the grandma's through the window, and then if you turn the page, you actually see the grandma. So isn't that neat? Oh my god, I freaking love it. Anyway, that is why I picked this version of Little Red Riding Hood. But yes, the story itself is a Brothers Grimm story. Alright, so those are the books that I'm going to read for Folktale February, and that is my complete TBR. I hope I can get through all these books, and I doubt I'll be able to add anything because, as it is, Swan Song is so long. Episode 13 that I'm reading and going to be streaming and talking about with Amy, this is long. A couple of other books, like Hellbent, is freaking long. The Other is not short. So we've got a lot of long books here. So we will see. I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself besides the stuff that I have committed to finishing, like episode 13, Swan Song, and a couple of other things. But other than that, I'll go with the flow. I'm not going to try to, feel too stressed about it, but we will see. Either way, I am pretty pumped for all of these books. Guys, have you read any of these? If you have, let me know what you have thought. Are you excited to read any of these? Do you have any of these on your TBR for February or an upcoming TBR? Also let me know that. But for this time, guys, that is it for me. I want to thank you for spending your time with me. You know that it always means so much to me. You guys, I love making videos for you guys, and it feels like I'm talking right to you, so in a way it feels like I'm spending time with you. So I love spending time with you guys. But again, like I said, to reiterate, for this time though, that is it for me. Till next time, guys, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it. Bye, guys.